We're going to talk about rearranging algebraic equations. This is an essential skill if you're going to be able to do anything successfully in physics, even at high school level. So today we're going to talk through a couple of examples, and really the key element of rearranging equations is trying to make variables such as x, in this case we've got d, vf, t, a, and t again, those are all variables. So this particular question, you can see we've got VF. We want to make VF the subject. Well, what does that mean? Basically, that just means we want to get VF by itself. Just like here, we've got D by itself. Generally speaking, we want to have one variable, the subject of the equation, by itself on the left. So what do we want to do first? Well, we want to get this VF by itself, right? But to do that, we need to first get this term by itself. We need to get rid of this 1/2 AT squared. We can't get rid of this t yet. We got to first, and this is always the first step, if you got more than one term, then you've always got to either add or subtract that term from the term that we're looking for. So we're trying to get VFT by itself. So VFT plus 1/2 AT squared, do we need to add 1/2 AT squared, or do we need to subtract? Well, we need to subtract. We need to get rid of this from this side. But if we do that, we need to also subtract 1/2 AT squared from the left. So what do we get? We get D minus 1/2 AT squared equals VFT plus 1/2 AT squared minus 1/2 AT squared. Now if you see, these terms cancel out. So now we're left with VFT. How do we get VF by itself? Well, we've got to get rid of this pesky t. So that t is multiplying VFT, so to get rid of it we need to divide. We need to divide both sides by t. So how do we do that? Well, just if you imagine this left side is all over 1, that can make things easier. But basically, you just need to bring this t down to the left side, right? And we do that by dividing both sides by t. And whenever you've got a t over a t, that cancels out. So you're left with D minus 1/2 AT squared over t equals VF. Now, and for this part, for the second, another example, we're going to try to make R the subject. In this case, it's a little bit different because R is in the denominator. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we have brackets. Whenever you have anything on the fraction, either in the top or the bottom, you want to make sure that you have brackets around it so that you keep it all as one term. Okay? We can't just move the R up to the top. We've got to move this whole 1 minus R to the top. So now, how do we get 1 minus R by itself? Well, we need to swap the position of 1 minus R and S. So how do we do that? Well, we need to multiply both sides by 1 minus R and divide both sides by S. S divided by S is equal to 1. A divided by S is A over S. And then we need to multiply by 1 minus R. So 1 minus R 1 over 1 minus R times 1 minus R is this term here. If you can see, that's anything over itself is equal to 1 or cancels out. So we're left with S over S cancels out. We're left with 1 minus R on the left by itself. So now, how do we get this R by itself? Well, we've got to get rid of this 1. Are we going to add that or subtract it? Well, of course, this is a positive number, so we need to subtract it. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. All right, so we subtract 1 from both sides, but we still have a bit of an issue because we've still got this negative. Right? This negative is equal to negative 1 times R. So what do we need to do? We need to get rid of that negative 1. We need to divide both sides by negative 1. So we're left with R equals negative A over S plus 1. So the third, and now we're going to get to the last question, practice question. This is where we want to make R the subject of 2/3 pi R cubed equals V. Now in this case, we need to try to get, we see this term is already by itself. There's nothing added to or subtracted from this whole term. right? So we don't need to add or subtract anything. So we can skip straight to the next step.